Okay, recently we've been talking about the 10 principles of fitness. Today we're talking about number 2, which is optimal health is achieved by athletes who prioritize sleep, nutrition, exercise, mindset, and connection with others. So let's dive into this. When you are seeking to improve your health, there are 7 variables you should consider: sleep, nutrition, exercise, mindset, relationships, your genes, and your environment. More specifically, sleep being the quantity and quality of your sleep, nutrition being the quantity and quality of the food you eat, exercise being what and how you move, mindset being what and how you think about the world around you, the relationships being the quantity and quality of your social connections, your genes being the predetermined traits given to you at birth from your parents, obviously, and the environment is the situation you were born into. For example, if you were born without access to clean drinking water, it's going to be tough to be healthy, right? I first heard of these 7 variables from Ben Bergeron, someone we admire here at RxFit and a well-known fitness coach and entrepreneur. And he said, because you can't control the last 2 variables, which are the genes you received at birth or the environment you grew up in, we only focus on the first 5. And these are the 5 variables you can control. Bergeron coined these variables the 5 factors of health. So let's dive in to the 5 factors of health. Sleep. Go to bed early and wake up early consistently. By developing this habit, your body and mind will be recovered and invigorated every day. In Dr. Matthew Walker's most recent book, Why We Sleep, he explains that your body spends the first half of the night in the NREM stage of sleep before prioritizing the REM stage during the second half of the night. The NREM stage is when your muscles and joints recover. The REM stage is where your mind processes all the information it took in the next day or the previous day. In other words, going to bed early ensures that your body will not be weary the next day, and then waking up early ensures that your mind has processed all of the events from the day before. Consistency also is paramount because your body runs on a clock, which is the circadian rhythm. In essence, your body and mind need to know when it will receive these vital stages of sleep every night. Consistency in your sleep habits ensures that this happens. Now, number 2, nutrition. Eat real food, not too much, mostly plants. Nutrition, above anything else or everything else inside the fitness industry, has become so complicated and conflicting. For example, think for a moment of how many generations of people that have survived and thrived before the 20th century. The ugly truth is that at some point in the 1900s, we started trusting food scientists and food businesses to tell us what to eat instead of doing what our ancestors did for thousands and thousands of years. The result? We've become less healthy and considerably fatter. At the end of the century, American doctor Steve Bratman actually coined a phrase for this, a word called orthorexia, which means to say that people with an unhealthy obsession with eating healthy. Again, orthorexia means somebody who has an unhealthy obsession with eating healthy. I think that's a great word and one we should talk about more often, because it's not whether or not the vegetable or fruit was organically grown or not. That's not the debate we need to be having. It's whether or not you're having the fruit versus the Snickers bar. It's exactly what's happened to us in America. No country cares more about the science of their food than we do, yet many would agree that we are the most unhealthy. So keep nutrition simple. Eat real food, not too much, and mostly plants. Number 3, exercise. Constantly vary your workouts 5 to 6 times a week with functional movements and high intensity. So let's break those 4 components down. Variance, 5 to 6 times a week, functional movements, and high intensity. Variance. You want variance because your body becomes increasingly resistant to an incessant stimulus. In other words, routine is the enemy. You can't expect to continue to improve by doing the same things every day or every week. 5 to 6 times a week, your body needs to move and sweat every day, period. Take a day or 2 to rest from training. Okay, I put that in quotation marks as training or a rigorous exercise, and do something relaxing. But strive to work out every day during the week. Your body, I promise you, can handle it. Number 3, functional movements. Compound multi-joint movements are superior to isolated single joint movements. Replace the dumbbell curl for pull-ups, replace the hamstring machine for deadlifts, and replace the leg press machine for front squats. Do multi-joint movements that you're going to see in everyday life. And then finally, high intensity. Recent academic research has taught us that anaerobic exercise yields actually the same benefits as aerobic exercise does. Conversely, aerobic training doesn't yield the same benefits as anaerobic training. So why then would you bias aerobic training over anaerobic training if it's more effective to train anaerobically? Train both, but prioritize high intensity or anaerobic workouts. Okay, now we're on to variable number 4, which is your mindset. What we say here at RxFit is never whine, never complain, and never make excuses. If you're unhappy with the current situation of your health, start here. Pay attention to when you whine, when you complain, and when you make excuses, and then seek to eliminate those instances. What you choose to think about and how you choose to think are going to make a difference in your health, period. The power of positive thought is for real. And then number 5, connection. We say here, build, sustain, and develop, or build, sustain, and grow deep relationships. For example, in 1938, Harvard scientists began a study to see if they could track the predictors of long-term health and happiness. They chose 268 students and planned to interview them at different stages throughout their lives. Psychiatrist and professor Dr. Waldinger, the director of the ongoing study today, said a few things interesting. One of them was only a handful of the original 268 individuals are still alive today. They're in their mid-90s now. So a lot of this data, it has been forthcoming over almost a century long. Thankfully, the researchers also began to study and interview these participants' spouses, children, and others. And the study now is tracking the lives of thousands of individuals worldwide across the world, both men, women, and children. So regarding the study, Dr. Waldinger said, taking care of your body is important, but the people who were the most satisfied in their relationships at age 50 were actually the healthiest at age 80. A better predictor of your health at age 50 is how satisfied you are with your relationships, not your cholesterol, your blood pressure, or anything like that that the doctor's going to measure. This is fascinating. So here's your takeaway. Focus on the variables that you can control, which are sleep, nutrition, exercise, mindset, and connection with others. Forget about the genes and forget about your environment. Most of the times, you can't do much about that. Athletes who prioritize these 5 variables will reach optimal health, which is being able to do anything, anywhere, anytime.